Back. Today we're going to talk a little bit about health in a little bit different light. Maybe you didn't think about it in this light, but we're going to talk a little bit about how a chemical imbalance is caused by when a calorie is not a calorie. Okay, and this will relate to chemical stress. Those chemical stresses over time do cause subluxation patterns, which we've talked about, but that is where we have nerve interferences, which is causing pain. Okay, so this right here, when a calorie is not a calorie, there's three different instances. Okay, first instance is when we're talking a little bit about high fructose corn syrup. Okay, high fructose corn syrup is very, very available. You know, if you look at most packaging, it's about one in five different packages will have high fructose corn syrup. So you really got to read the labels. Okay, you can't just pick it up off the shelf and just start consuming. You really got to read the labels because it all adds up. It's not just one thing, it's in like, you know, one in five. So you're probably going to be having multiple servings of high fructose corn syrup, and then you have your sodas and all the other stuff. So, you know, it isn't a lot of the foods. Now, why is that a big problem? The high fructose corn syrup actually is only utilized by your liver. Okay, it doesn't go up to the brain. It doesn't tell the brain, hey, everything's good, because those are not actually, you know, the blood sugars that we're talking about that are going through the blood. Okay, so you actually are ending up with a different problem. The liver is getting fatty as a result of it. It also will, because the liver can only use so much, it will start shunting it off to fat. Okay, so it's not something that's going to give you that immediate energy that you require right now. So which is why you usually consume a little bit more calories than what you normally should. But this is usually what happens when we're eating fast food, right? So that being said, that is definitely when a calorie is not a calorie, because it goes straight to fat, and then you have to go in fat burn mode in order to use those calories. Okay, that is one. Number two is artificial sweeteners. Okay, artificial sweeteners, unfortunately, they are 0 grams, right? 0 calories, right? The problem is with that is that it still has a very similar effect, or a very similar problem. Not in the fact that it's actually, you know, raising your blood sugars, not in the fact that it, you know, is an actual calorie. The problem is that your body is tricked into thinking that it's getting sugar. Okay, but furthermore, the artificial sweeteners is known to cause an increase in acidity. Okay, we increase the acidity in your body. That will actually cause your organs to go bananas because it doesn't like being bathed in acid. So it will actually layer itself with fat, additional fat. Okay, and this is why you'll see a lot of people that are overweight drinking diet sodas that are still overweight. I mean, if everybody was skinny by drinking diet sodas or diet foods, then wouldn't we all be skinny? But the reality is we still have the same problem. It's just a different machine or different mechanism to why we're fat, or why we're not being able to lose the weight. We can't lose the weight because our body's actually protecting itself. So you could be doing all the good stuff. You could be doing the exercising and doing all the other stuff and not consuming the sugars, but still not being able to lose the weight, and that would be a key reason why. Okay, so that's number two. Number three is the fact that trans fats are not actual fats, and then there's a big problem. Trans fat is, in and of sense, there's two different types of fat. There's one where the biochemical makeup is called a cis, and then we have it where it's bent, and that's called trans. Our body can't actually consume that. It can't utilize that. So when we eat a trans fat, it gets stored in our body. It doesn't ever get utilized. It never gets burned. It just stays there and sits there. Okay, you can imagine that's not going to be good for your body in the long term. And you know, being how it's just sitting there, eventually your body's immune system has to go in there and blow it up. Okay, it's quite literally that bad. And so you end up with an inflammatory response as a result of that, thereby causing all sorts of other pain for one, because it's a pro-inflammatory diet. And when we're talking about people that have a lot of pain, a lot of chronic pain, that's a key reason why you're having so much pain, is that you do have a pro-inflammatory diet, plus you have a high stress life, plus you have a repetitive job, you know, all three of those things, and you definitely need a chiropractor. So, you know, all three of those things being said, these three things are a reason why we'll end up with a chemical imbalance, and we'll end up causing stuff like subluxations, which is, again, the body's response to having that much stress on there. And so we end up with the nerve not actually functioning at 100%. So, you know, we do give health talks all the time here. We have them up on the board. You know, a lot of our clients really love that. We always love to educate. So, you know, please do come in. We'd love to help you out, and we'll see you again. In addition to what we've talked about a little bit, we're going to talk just a little bit more about trans fats, because it's a little bit of a misnomer that we are eating 0 grams of trans fats. Okay, and here's the case where you're reading the label and it says on the big box, it says 0 grams of trans fat per serving. okay? But you flip over the box and you read what's in the ingredients, and you're gonna have to look for this right here. It says partially or fully hydrogenated oil, okay? And sometimes it says both, okay? But look for the oil. Just if that's the only thing you did is look for the oil, that'd be a big help for your health. But look for fully or partially. You know, if they're saying it's 0 grams per serving, what they're really saying is that it's 0.49 grams per serving, which they round down, by the way. And by doing so, they usually make the serving size smaller, okay? And so, for example, if you were to have 10 to 11 chips, for example, on a normal basis, but they made it down to maybe 4 or 5 chips per serving, all of a sudden you're going to eat the same amount of chips, right? And you're going to get a whole gram of trans fats, but it's 0 per serving because they've rounded down. You've still had 1 gram. Okay, this all adds up over time, which is the big problem and the big misnomer behind trans fat. You can't just go by face value of it telling you it's 0 grams per serving. Flip over the label. If that's all you did is just look for the oil. That's the only thing you did. And sometimes there's 2 oils in there, so look for the oils. Okay, but if it says fully and or partially hydrogenated fat, just go ahead and put that back, or very, very rarely reserve that for special occasions. Okay, guys? Thank you.